Hospitality visionary. I'm not sure how I came up with this, but yeah, that's what it is for today. Um, this panel really inspired me earlier, and when you think about it, how lucky we are today in our lives, and how blessed we are to have everything that we have. But yeah, if you allow me to introduce my panelists. First, we have Sarab Bakshi, who comes from hospitality but lives in Paradoxes. He heads up Azizi Hospitality and is working on some of the craziest projects in the world. So, hello, Sarab. Guy Vesha runs and has founded Maslow's in the UK. We know Maslow from Psych 101 and the hierarchy of needs, and the concept is set up based on that. It's one of the most inspiring hybrid living spaces and hybrid office spaces in the world, and he's here to talk about what he does. Next we have Armand Steinmeier, who looks after development for Ascot. We all know Ascot, a legacy brand, and I look forward to speaking with you. To start off, Guy, can you tell us a bit more about what you're up to and what Maslow's represents?
So I've started observing the shifts in people's lives and how they work, how they choose to spend their time. And there has been some major shifts over the last few years which have been really enabled by technology and how the digital world serves us, which allowed us to do things that we never imagined from different locations around the world. So I came up with a vision for Maslow's, which is a hospitality-led workspace solution to allow people to achieve various needs within one space. Hybrid living, to me, in the context of what we're talking about, is really blending business and leisure, work and social, or the personal and the professional. And if we're capable of satisfying all these needs under one roof, that would make us more productive, healthier, and ultimately happier.
We're seeing some of the images at Maslow's behind us.
Yes.
And that's, so essentially it's a office hotel that doesn't have the hotel and room component, but everything else.
So I come from hotels, in fact. I've been in hotels all my life. I was born into it. My father is a hotelier, who I'm very close with. But more recently, I've created a product that feels like a hotel, but replaces the bedroom with a private office, but retains all the lifestyle amenities and facilities that the modern citizen would require to be the best person they are, and save a lot of time having to travel from one location to another in order to satisfy various needs. If you come to one of our venues, you can start by doing a workout in the morning, then going up doing some work in your either private or shared workspace area, meet a friend for lunch perhaps, have a meeting with investors, later in the evening go to an inspirational talk to broaden your horizon, and then you have enough time to go spend it either with your family or friends or take care of yourself.
I mean, hotels have always been hybrid spaces, and that's something that you mentioned the other day. And today, as we talk about hybrid assets, hybrid living, and the future of how this works, I know you have something to say.
Yeah, so what we were discussing yesterday, actually, the whole purpose today was about hybrid, and somebody asked me that, so what is the meaning of hybrid? I guess if you would have asked me a year back what was the meaning of hybrid, I guess it's the most word that you will see on the job portals, that your job is now a hybrid job. You go 2 years further back, hybrid was getting on a Zoom call with a tie on top and a pajamas down. I guess that was hybrid. You go further backward, it was hybrid was where the automotive industry was coming up with cars which had electric as well as petrol part of it. And you can go back to the beginning of the word hybrid was when the two botanicals were joined together to come with something which was different and unique. So I guess the definition and the way we look at the word hybrid has changed over the period of time, but the future is bright for hybrid, in my opinion. A hybrid is something which I can get into two words. One is opportunities, and the other one is optimizing. So I guess the space that we look at it, and I've come from a background where not only hotels, but from real estate part of it, optimizing and making it efficient is very, very important for us. And hybrid spaces plays a very crucial role in delivering what is required out of it. So I would drop it right over here, and I guess I'll have more to speak about that, how hybrid spaces will take the shape of the future, but
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about it, you mentioned that Ascot was a hybrid space from its inception, right? And as we look at the next phase of what looks like, not just for the industry, but for Ascot, what are some of the things you're doing?
Yeah, so I think the primary point here is that we are a hospitality company. We're all hospitality companies, and we serve community guests, and these guests, we're evolving with them. After COVID, there was an acceleration, but this has always been a change in terms of behavior we've seen over the last 20, 30 years. Now, at Ascot, we have a particular insight that we're lucky to have, which is that we have 1,000 properties across the world. We've seen people change how they use different products, and today hybrid lives, which are very common, also need to be met with products that are more fit for what they're looking for. So that's why we see, I think, in the general industry an expansion of the types of products that are available, whether it's co-living, social living, branded residence, hotels, so on and so forth. But that really is just pointing to what is a natural fact on the ground, which is that people and their lifestyles have changed and that they require different products to be able to cater to them. Hotels, service departments, they've always been essentially key components of all communities in small towns, cities, and all. And I think that what today we are looking at is how do we cater to very different communities depending on their generation, depending on their own practice, shorter stays, longer stays, gyms, co-working. So the spaces that we inhabit are evolving with them, and then they're being reflected through the different brands that each one of us carry, really.
I'm going to go back to you, Guy. We talked about spaces and how to build them as fit for purpose from the get-go, and making sure that they are future-proof, that they are resilient, that you can modify them as you go. How are you doing that at Maslow's?
I think there's a fine balance between wanting to achieve so many things within one space. Sometimes when somebody designs a space that is so flexible, it loses its identity. So you have to do it in a way where you create various spaces that most of which are permanent in their purpose. But you can create areas around that have the level of flexibility to accommodate different needs. We don't want people to choose between one thing that's important to them and another thing that's important to them. We want them to be able to achieve everything they want within one space without compromise. There used to be a time that people, focused on work and compromise or sacrificed another important aspect in their life, be it well-being or family time. And now when we're looking at buildings, we're looking at how to design them in a way where they would be able to achieve all these things under one roof. Real estate is something very permanent that is more difficult to modify. You can't modify it with the speed of trends. So you have to create different spaces, different levels that help you focus on a certain task. So within Maslow's, we have lounge spaces which are more conducive to social interaction. We have quiet areas that are conducive to focused work. Then we obviously have high energy areas, we have gyms, we have studios, we have restaurants, event spaces, private offices, and hopefully in the future we will add accommodation as well. So it's not
So
about
a hybrid of a hybrid. Then
yes,
yeah.
hyper hybrid.
Hyper hybrid. Yeah.
So it's not about trying to make one specific area so flexible where you can do it all, because you cannot really achieve that. But it's how you allocate the space to certain needs.
I know, Sarab, that
Yes,
you are working on the space element very, very attentively. And you're very
Yes.
passionate about it.
And I guess, you know, if you have to understand the whole purpose of it, I guess it can be divided into three parts. One is that you need to have an intentional zoning done of your real estate. An emotional guest flow needs to be factored in, and there has to be a technological elasticity that needs to be plugged in. Now, if you look at these three things, it will really make things better. And like the example that I am very fond of is a Swiss knife. You know, most of the hotels of the future would actually be like a Swiss knife. However, today we are dealing with butter knives, and I guess we are trying to make it like a Swiss knife, which is like a stretch. And if I have to elaborate that, it's actually for the fact that everybody is in the quest to optimize things, and they're misusing some of the spaces on the pretext of hybrid. And I guess that's where the guest journey, understanding the zoning, is very, very crucial in coming days. And that's where the mandate that I have on my head is to ensure that things are being well thought through. Sometimes you do get carried away with some of the trends which are very much up in the market, and you want to grab them and introduce you into your whole business model. I feel there is a red flag over there that we should not fall in that trap of it. And things can change very much, very quickly. And real estate and the kind of modularity that we keep talking about sometimes can become cost prohibitive for us to change it. And then the life goes on with that kind of marriage, which is just not going to work out.
I know, Armand, you mentioned when we talked about the Swiss Army knife, the knife in the Swiss Army knife is actually not a great knife. The scissors in the Swiss Army knife aren't great scissors, but when you have this much real estate in your pocket, and I'm using your words, word for word, you know, it's you know, we're doing too much to put things together in the hotel industry and in hospitality, and we're not really perfecting anything. Yeah. And I think you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I think that, and this is my co-panelists have touched on it, is that you cannot be everything to everyone. If not, you are nobody or nothing. And I think that's where there is a role really for matching essentially your target market to your brand product. Because when you do that, then you're automatically creating something there's purpose behind it. And I think that that's really important. So for example, we have a brand called Life. It's about more social living and community. That means that in the programming, it prioritizes those elements. And that's really critical because if I'm catering to a different target segment, which is maybe, let's say, a Maslow guest, they may not fit necessarily. But I think when we talk about hybrid lives is that, you know, maybe if we go back 20 years, the hotel guest was pretty homogenous. At least it was perceived as such. Today, everyone can live their own lifestyle, and they are less compromising as to what that is when they travel. And so I think hybrid products and hybrid lives really is how do you create different products and match make to those communities so that we're not trying to do everything, but rather what we are doing is well adapted to who our guest is and what they need. And I think that's also why there's a lot more room for creativity in today, because you can bring in certain elements, you can exit certain elements, but absolutely right. I think, you know, hotels and hotel type products should not be Swiss Army knives. Swiss Army knives do it better. But yeah, so I think that's really the challenge up ahead. So whenever we assess a product, and I think you mentioned it when we spoke as well, is that you should not force fit your product into something that is wrong. But rather make a product that is fit for who you're targeting and the location that it's for. So that is a critical piece, I think, in hospitality today, to make sure that it's successful, but also that it adds value. Yeah.
It's just to add, and I guess I agree on that part. That's where I keep saying that more than the product, it's always the journey that we have to keep in mind. And it is the convenience and the comfort that we have to keep in mind. The quest many of us get sometimes trapped into is to ensure that the guest or the end user is stuck in that particular cage. The idea is not to make the cage. The idea is to make convenience which is comfortable for him. What I always say is like a mini city where you can live, stay, eat, heal, meet, and celebrate in your convenience rather than saying that, oh, you know what do I do next? Once you do these things in a very effortless manner, the way the people's utility of that particular place will always get higher and higher. And it's about not just the usability, it's also the usage. So I guess if we understand these two parts pretty well, and how Maslow is doing it in that, it excites you that there has been a particular segment who's been kept in mind, and the world is built around it for a long-term game. Now, none of us have a crystal maze in front of us to say that what would be the shelf life of any idea. So that doesn't mean that don't hunt for those ideas or don't hunt for those trends that's happening up. But the fact remains that we really have to be in lookout and deliver something which can last longer than the normal.
I can't ignore the fact that we have our friend Andre here sitting amongst us, and whatever we build in Andre's world means nothing if you don't have the right team, the right culture, the right brand ethos, and the right way of working. So I just wanted to mention that that's one thing that when we discussed this earlier, that we missed talking about, and essentially the hybrid workforce, right? And how that can contribute to a positive experience for our guests. And yeah, Andre, I thank you for continuously reminding me about these things. Sorry, this comes off the cuff, but how do you think we can work on our teams as well to have them understand this hybridity? Yeah,
I think I would maybe start. I mean, in hospitality, it's perhaps slightly more challenging than other industries for the teams who execute to work remotely, because we are those on the ground. We're guest facing, but there are some roles that are not guest facing, and I think you need to live by what you're promoting. So obviously COVID has changed a lot for us, and people now demand much more flexibility in the workspace if their role allows for it. And we have to not only accept it, but encourage it and endorse it and show flexibility to our team. So some people who can work remotely, and we have employees working from different parts of the world, or who are permanently in London but want to travel for several weeks and do their work from wherever, and we allow it. It's not always easy because there are some aspects that people try to take advantage of the situation and don't do what they're supposed to do. But as long as you give trust and empower your employees and they deliver what they're supposed to, we are happy to be as flexible as possible and allow them to have a hybrid life themselves.
I mean, I had a hybrid life myself during COVID. All of us probably did. You wake up, you do your calls, you do your workout in the room, you take a shower, you go back and eat in bed. And then when COVID finished, we all went out for about a year. And now I'm back to doing the same thing. You become trained somehow to enjoy this type of thing depending on how you lived COVID, right? And when it comes to this hybrid space of having offices that look like hotels, today I would love to myself say, wake up in the morning, maybe don't take a shower, go straight to the office that has my gym. Yeah, I work out, take a shower, go to the office, have a meeting or two, go back down, have breakfast, then do some more meetings, go take a nice bath, finish a couple of meetings, have lunch, do a few things, go play tennis within that same space, because I don't want to travel back and forth and go
You
to the
sound
gym.
like a Maslow's member.
Yeah, well, you know what? Open it already. Come on.
We're looking to expand, and hopefully we'll be coming to this region too.
I
think
guess for me, it's not sounding
And
like
specifically, sorry.
Maslow. It looks more like an ideal living, not a hybrid living. This is an ideal living that he's describing. You know, I heard word in the work in the beginning of the speech. Then it was gym, breakfast,
Lunch,
shower,
and the bath,
shower.
and
So
dinner.
this is an ideal living.
Yeah, come on. Harmony, right? We talked about harmony. You want to have harmony in your life.
Absolutely.
So, and to come back to,
There
it.
used to be a time not long ago that work was very separate from your personal life. Your closest people at home would never see your work and would never understand your work, and you spend the most amount of time at work, and that was acceptable. Those times are long gone, and people don't have to make decisions where they don't spend time with their family or loved ones and work themselves to death. And well-being has become a major aspect of all of this. And how do you harmonize all these various things in your life and become happier and ultimately self-actualize and be the best person you can? And that's what we try to give to our community, to our member, that ability to not sacrifice important aspects of their lives, be able to implement and achieve all of them. You're welcome to bring your family even into our spaces. There's various programming and events over the weekend that would allow you to do that. And ultimately, you become so much more effective in what matters to you, and your time, which is the most valuable commodity, is given back to you in the best possible way.
Time. That's the biggest one. We don't have much of it.
See, again, in the way the journey is being described, that's purely about the definition that keeps on evolving, about the way that we work, the way we deliver. A similar ideology works on that: when does my work start? The time when I pick up my mobile phone, I start replying to my first email, or when I actually enter my office and log in? I guess that's sometimes where the balancing act comes in. But that's exactly where the point is, that the hybrid spaces are those spaces that we are creating for the needs of the current workforce, current livings, etc. And it can be very, very dynamic. There could be same person who's living a different life in the first half day of his life and living a different life in the second half of the day. And does he have the solution available at his fingertip?
That sounds like me, actually.
And I'm taking that clue from you because, after 6 o'clock, there's a different Arab that I'm going to find out there. So I guess that's how we have to do, and everything is important. I guess, is work important? Work is important. Is health, longevity, and everything, it's equally important. Family, equally important. Let's not forget the friends. And that's what, if you see, when I was explaining those 6 things that is in my mind, and one of them is not about eating, but celebrate. Eating is different, celebration is different. And if you are in a space where you can eat, which is your basic necessity, to the fact that you have a space where you can celebrate, that's where you make that micro-city which serves the purpose. Traffic will be another issue that will encourage the hybrid spaces. Distances will be something that will create hybrid spaces. Building them rather than retrofitting them is the way forward.
Well, I think also to add is that, travel patterns have already changed, right? In the past, business trips might be hotel rooms only. Today, we see a lot of service departments which were initially designed for long-term stay, which have become now short-term, but with families, right? So people are traveling with their families. They've taken the assets of a different era and then repurposed them towards their lives today. So I think that maybe in the past, everyone would have their own room or connecting rooms, but there's a different aspect as well to traveling and sharing a kitchen and all those elements. These contribute as well to the richness actually of the entire market and what everyone is doing. So I think everything that we see in the office also translates as well into the hospitality space in terms of how rooms are used, how guests are using those rooms, short-term, long-term, mid-term. These almost are losing sense as to what they were traditionally known, because again, there's different tribes and different ways of using these different assets. So if somebody is going somewhere, maybe they want to feel more like a local and live in an apartment rather than stay in a hotel. But that could be a personal choice as well. And then it's for us to really offer these different approaches to different needs, really. So you could have your shower after your first meeting.
Well, we're coming close to the end here, but I'm, in case someone has any questions for my panelists, now would be the good time. I think we've covered a lot of interesting elements, and they'll be around if you want to speak with them later as well. So, any questions? No? Oh, Andre.
I'll keep it short because I know we're running towards an end, but I just have one question. Thank you, gentlemen, for a very interesting panel. I think it was amazing, all the products, but I love it. When you mention it, Rabia, it's all about people. Of course, bringing those products to life. What is the one, and then I'll close, just one short question. What is the one recommendation you have for young generations to be prepared to step into hospitality, which is a super demanding industry? Many have so many temptations to go to other industries. Why young generation wants to step into the hybrid world of hospitality? What would you say?
Well, I will say that for most people who are in hospitality and do a wonderful job in hospitality, it starts with a passion for it. And you have to do what you love, otherwise you would not be great in doing it. But I think now more than ever before, especially in the younger generation, they're extremely isolated. And one of the most unisolating industries, I guess, is hospitality, and having that human interaction, which is becoming more scarce with technology and AI. So if they're seeking those connections and human interactions and they enjoy hosting, then this is probably the industry for them.
I think we're going to wrap it up here, just in the interest of time, and I'm getting stares from there. So thank you so much. Round of applause for the panelists, and see you at the next one.
Thank you.